My son told me I wasn't welcome for Christmas. He said his in-laws were coming and it would be simpler if I stayed away. He said this about the house I pay the mortgage on. So I made a choice. One phone call to the bank was all it took. 2 days and 18 missed calls later, he learned that no room for Dad at Christmas means no room for Dad's money ever again. My name is Dennis, and I'm a retired electrician living in what used to be a quiet little suburb. This decision changed everything. But the story of how we got here and the explosive confrontation that followed is something you need to hear to believe. Before we continue, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel so you never miss a story. When does helping your children cross the line into enabling them? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. For 35 years, I've been a father. For the last 15, I've been a single one. When my wife Clara passed, she made me promise her 2 things. First, that I'd never let our son, Michael, forget how much we loved him. And second, that I'd do everything in my power to make sure he had a better, easier life than we did. I've spent every day since trying to honor that promise. I see now that was my greatest mistake. Our life wasn't hard, but it was built on calloused hands and long hours. I worked as a union electrician. Clara was a nurse. We saved, we planned, and we dreamed of a future where our son wouldn't have to choose between fixing the car and taking a vacation. We weren't wealthy, but our home was filled with love and the smell of Clara's baking. After she was gone, the house felt huge, and the silence was a constant ache. Michael was my reason for getting up in the morning. He was my purpose. I poured everything into that boy. I sold Clara's old car, the one she loved, to help him through college without a single loan. I told him it was just taking up space, but the truth is, I used to just sit in it to feel close to her. When he met Isabella, I was thrilled. She was sharp, ambitious, and seemed to make him happy. The fact that she came from money was, I thought, a good thing. Michael would never have to worry. Their wedding was a lavish affair, paid for by her parents, far beyond anything I could have afforded. I remember standing in my rented tux, feeling out of place, watching my son marry into a world of country clubs and summer homes. Isabella's parents were polite but distant, looking me over with cool, judging stares. They saw a tradesman, and I felt their silent judgment like a physical weight. But I smiled because Michael was happy. When they decided to buy a house, they found a beautiful new build in a gated community, one far outside a junior marketing manager's budget. Michael called me, his voice a mix of excitement and anxiety. "Dad, it's perfect," he said, "but the banks, they want a bigger down payment, and my salary isn't quite there yet for the mortgage." I didn't hesitate. I went to my credit union and took out a second mortgage on my own home, the home Clara and I built, the one I'd just finished paying off. I gave them the whole down payment, over $100,000. When the bank still wasn't satisfied, my credit score and my signature as a co-signer sealed the deal. And because they were still stretched thin, I set up an automatic payment from my account to theirs, $2,800 every single month for 5 years. It was my secret, a final gift to honor the promise I made to his mother. I paid for the hardwood floors when Isabella decided the carpet was too builder grade. I paid for the new appliances when she wanted a chef's kitchen. My name wasn't on the deed, but my sacrifice was in every stud, every floorboard, and every blade of grass in their perfect yard. The call came on a Tuesday. I was at my kitchen table, the one Clara and I bought 30 years ago. I saw Michael's picture pop up and smiled. We didn't talk as often as I liked, but I treasured every call. "Hey, Dad," he said, his voice a little too bright. "How are you?" "Doing great, son. Getting ready for the holidays. I was thinking of making that sage stuffing Clara used to love. Think the grandkids would finally try it this year? There was a pause, a pocket of dead air that felt heavy. "Yeah, about that, Dad," he started, the cheerfulness fraying. "Listen, we need to talk about Christmas." A knot tightened in my stomach. "Everything okay?" "Yeah, fine. It's just, Isabella's parents are coming into town for the week. They're staying with us, and you know how her mother is. She has her own traditions." I waited. "Okay," I said slowly. "There's plenty of room. I can sleep on the couch. I just want to see the kids open their presents." He sighed, a sound of pure frustration. "Dad, please don't make this harder. It's not about the room. It's just, it would be simpler if you didn't come this year. It's going to be chaotic with her family. We just think it's best to have a quiet one with the in-laws." The words didn't register at first. Not welcome? Simpler if I stayed away? I looked at the photos on my fridge. Michael on his first bike, at his graduation, holding his own son. Every memory was a monument to a love I thought was unconditional. "You're telling me not to come for Christmas?" My voice was a whisper. "I'm just saying we're not expecting you this year, Dad. We can do something after New Year's. It'll be better, I promise." "Not expecting me? In the house I paid for. The house with my name at the bank. The house whose mortgage payment was scheduled to leave my account in 3 days. He wasn't uninviting a guest. He was dismissing his benefactor." I felt the blood drain from my face. It wasn't disrespect. It was erasure. I was an inconvenience. Through the window, I saw my neighbor's house twinkling with Christmas lights. I thought of my own tree, still in the basement, waiting for my grandkids. Now that picture just dissolved. I don't remember how I ended the call. I think I just mumbled, "I understand." I hung up and sat in the silence. For the first time, the ache of loneliness was replaced by something else. A cold, hard, clarifying anger. I don't know where I drove. The world outside was a blur of festive decorations, a movie I wasn't in anymore. Every stoplight brought a new memory, twisting the knife. I saw myself at the bank signing the second mortgage, the loan officer giving me a sympathetic look. "Are you sure about this, sir?" I just smiled and said, "It's for my son." I remembered the relief in Michael's voice. "Dad, you're a lifesaver. I'll pay you back every penny, I swear." He never paid back a cent. The hurt was a crushing weight, but as the miles passed, it crystallized into resolve. Who was this man my son had become? This man who lived in a house paid for by my labor, but saw my presence as an inconvenience? He didn't see me as his father. He saw me as a utility, an open line of credit to be tapped and then hidden away. By the time I pulled into my driveway, the decision was made. It wasn't born of revenge. It came from a place of profound, soul-shaking clarity. The promise I made to Clara was to give our son a better life, not to enable his entitlement. I walked into my house and went straight to my office. My hands were perfectly steady. I found the recurring payments section on my bank's website. There it was, monthly transfer to Michael, $2,800. For a split second, I hesitated. What if this breaks us forever? Then I heard his voice in my head. It would be simpler. Simpler for him to enjoy his life without the inconvenient reminder of the working-class father who made it all possible. I thought about the repairs I'd put off, the trips I never took. I had kept my promise. Now it was time for him to live the life I gave him on his own. I pressed cancel. A confirmation popped up. "Are you sure?" I pressed yes. Then I made one call to the bank. I calmly explained that I wanted to start the process of having my name removed as a cosigner from a mortgage. The representative said it would require the primary borrower to refinance. I told her that was fine. "Please," I said, my voice even, "start the process immediately. There is no longer any financial relationship between myself and the primary borrower." I hung up. The financial chain was broken. Now we'd see what our relationship was actually made of. The first 2 days were eerily silent. The stupid, fatherly part of me expected an apology. Nothing. It just confirmed our only regular communication was a transaction. The third day was when the payment was due. The silence was different now. It was charged. The first call came at 4:15 p.m. "Michael." I let it go to voicemail. A minute later, a text. "Dad, call me. It's urgent." I put the phone face down. Then a text from Isabella. "Dennis, Michael is trying to reach you. Please call him back immediately. There's a problem with the bank." A problem with the bank, not our bank. That told me everything. Over the next hour, it was a flood. Call from Michael. Call from Michael. Text, "Dad, seriously, pick up. The mortgage payment bounced." Call from Isabella. Text from Isabella, "I don't know what kind of game you are playing, but it is not funny. You are putting our home at risk. Call us now." By 6 p.m., I had 18 missed calls. The voicemails were a masterclass in panic. The first was confused. "Hey, Dad, weird thing. The bank said the mortgage was rejected. I think the transfer didn't go through. Can you check?" The next was annoyed. "Dad, it's me again. The bank said the automatic transfer was canceled. Did you do that? Why?" The last one I listened to was pure rage. "What did you do? I'm on the phone with the mortgage company and they're talking about delinquency. And they said they got a request to remove you as cosigner. You call me back right now or I swear to God." I deleted it mid-rant. The entitlement was breathtaking. No, "Hey, Dad, is something wrong?" Just fury that the ATM had stopped dispensing cash. With every missed call, another layer of misplaced guilt peeled away. I wasn't the one who broke this. I was just the one who stopped paying to keep it from falling apart. He showed up the next morning. His luxury SUV screeched to a halt at my curb. He stormed up the walkway and pounded on the door. I took a slow sip of my coffee, then opened it. "Michael," I said calmly. "Don't you Michael me," he spat, his face red. "What have you done? Do you have any idea the mess you've made? They're threatening foreclosure. My credit is going to be destroyed." "Your credit?" I asked. "It's your mortgage. You should be the one paying it." "I can't afford it without you. You know that. We built our entire budget around your help." "No, you built your budget around my help. I was never consulted. I was expected to pay." I stepped back. "Come in. Let's talk like adults." He stalked into the living room, Isabella trailing behind him, her face a mask of fury. "I can't believe you would do this to us," Michael said, pacing. "To just pull the rug out from under us without a word. Why?" I sat in my armchair. "Why don't you tell me, Michael? What happened on Tuesday?" He stopped. "What does that have to do with anything?" "It has everything to do with it. You called your father, the man whose name is on your mortgage, who has been paying your bills for 5 years, and told him he wasn't welcome for Christmas because it would be simpler." Isabella scoffed. "Oh, please, this is about that? Your feelings got hurt, so you decided to make us homeless? How petty." "Huh, petty?" I let out a short laugh. "Let's talk about petty. I have a file, every bank statement for 5 years, 60 payments of $2,800, that's $168,000. On top of the $120,000 down payment, my total contribution to your perfect life, $288,000. And for that investment, I get told I'm an inconvenience. Michael's face went pale. He glanced at Isabella, who was suddenly fascinated by the wall. I didn't ask for a thank you, I continued, my voice low. I didn't ask to be repaid. I wanted to be treated like family, like your father. But that's not what I was I? I was your safety net, the old man you could count on for a check, but who wasn't good enough for your fancy in-laws. That's not true, Michael said, but his voice had no fight. Isn't it? When was the last time you called just to see how I was? Our relationship, son, became a monthly transaction, and I am no longer in the business of paying for the illusion of a family. He sank onto the couch. So what now? What are we supposed to do? You're going to do what you should have done 5 years ago, I said, standing. Live within your means. You'll have to refinance the mortgage to get my name off it. If you can't, you'll have to sell. That's not my problem anymore. It's yours. Isabella finally spoke, her voice dripping with venom. You're going to regret this. You'll end up old and alone in this sad little house. I looked her right in the eye. I am already alone, Isabella. The difference is, now I'm not paying for the privilege of being reminded of it. I'd rather be alone with my dignity than be a guest in a house where I'm only valued for my wallet. The conversation is over. Leave. The slam of my front door was the sweetest sound I'd heard in years. The weeks that followed were a strange mix of painful and freeing. They didn't call. Just a profound, deafening silence. I learned through the grapevine they put the house on the market. They couldn't get a bank to refinance without me. They sold for a small profit and moved into a much smaller rental. I spent Christmas with my sister and her family. They'd been inviting me for years, but I always believed my place was with my son. This year, I said yes. We ate, we laughed, and they just treated me like family. It was a revelation. I used the money I was no longer sending to Michael to pay down the second mortgage on my own home. I fixed my water heater. I even booked a fishing trip to Alaska I'd been dreaming about for 20 years. I don't know if I'll ever have a real relationship with my son again. Maybe one day, when he understands the difference between a father and a financier, he'll reach out. But I'm no longer waiting by the phone. My new promise is to myself, to live with the self-respect I almost gave away. I'm learning that sometimes the most loving thing a parent can do is to finally let go. In that freedom, I have finally found peace. This was a tough situation with no easy answers. What do you think? Was the father completely justified in his actions, or did he take it too far by putting his son's home at risk? Let us know your take in the comments section below. We love reading your perspectives. And if you want more stories that make you think, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.